million times they broke the law. So, Patrick, you and I don't break the law, we go to jail, unless we're Hunter Biden or we're left-wing Democrat.
You're untouchable.
What happens when the government breaks the law?
Yeah. Nothing.
Charlie, FBI.
They get raises in private jets and bigger buildings.
Yeah.
FBI, Christopher Wray, appointed by Trump in 2017.
This is a legitimate point.
Yeah. I mean, that's the point. How much do you think Trump regrets being the person that tapped Wray to be the FBI director?
Look, I can't speak for his level of regret. I think there's a fair amount of fury because now the very people he put into office are now trying to put him in prison for 200 years.
Think about that for a second, right? I mean, some people get lost in the nuance right there. The guy that he picked
yes,
to be the director of the FBI is now the guy that's trying to put Trump in prison. Think about that. That's like you picking the new CFO of PHP, and now he's trying to usurp you to take your job, put you in prison. It's insane.
So there's a lot of reasons why the personnel of the Trump White House was, as even Rush Limbaugh would say, puzzling.
Yeah.
And Rush never said something. He never said something negative about Trump.
Yeah.
And he said, it's very puzzling.
Yeah.
Like, what a Rush term, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why. And it goes back to why they hate Trump so much, why they have to throw him in prison, why they're doing all this, is he was not supposed to win. No one thought he was going to win. There was no prep. There was no transition team. So you go from a guy that's on 1% probability meter on the New York Times website to all of a sudden president-elect. So all of a sudden, out of nowhere, who comes in? The people, the worst people come in. Right? Right into Trump Tower the next day, you had people taking the 6 a.m. flight out of Washington, D.C., flattering Trump, being like, these people are going to be amazing in your White House. They were sleeper cells for the shadow government.
Well, how much of it is on Trump? And I'm not here to hear me out.
Let him make his point. He's making a point. I want to hear what he was going to say. I don't think he was done. You were saying how much of this is on the sleeper?
Yeah, look, I think we could all Monday morning quarterback. I think he fully acknowledges that he could have made better personnel selections in certain places. I will say this, is that he was so deceived by the people closest to him. I mean, how many people do we have to go through from John Bolton to Kelly to Omarosa that turned into like Brutus Cassius Judas, right? It was like how many Brutus Cassius Judas archetypes were trolling around that place. Look, you're not going to get me to say something negative about like Trump, how much is on Trump or not. I think it needs to be the number one place of improvement because from Birx to Fauci, those people never should have been around the White House.
This isn't a gotcha. Hey, Charlie,
I'm just being honest.
I'm actually trying to be constructive here, to be honest with you, because he marketed himself as I'm going to hire the best people. I'm going to have the best people around me. That was his selling point. How much has he learned? And if he is the next president of the United States,
which he can,
who's he going to hire?
Yeah,
this doesn't happen again.
So thankfully, there's a guy named John McEntee. He's publicly working on this. He was the best guy in the White House. He got so much done. He was Trump's body guy and kind of became de facto personnel chief. And he's already putting it together in conjunction with the Heritage Foundation. They're working on this. I'm not that interested in that because that's just not my skill set. I mean, we're happy to send resumes and stuff. I just want to win, and because if you don't win, then who cares about your transition project? But the number one, and by the way, the number one policy objection that the base has to Donald Trump was his personnel, right? But think about it. You're a once in a 100-year wrecking ball that was once, you go from New York City developer and talk show personality, cable personality to president of the United States. Like, you don't have a tickler file of personnel to, like, go run the Department of Interior, right?
Right.
And he wasn't wrong. Like, when he ran his businesses in New York, he did have the best people. But he was able to fire them on demand, and they were motivated by one thing, profit. So he was operating under a system where people wanted to get paychecks. They wanted to get bonuses. That's not how DC works at all. It's not a profit system. It's patronage. It's access. It's favors. It's one-off deals. It's deceit. So in markets, you know this, Patrick, from building an unbelievably successful business, markets, you cannot lie in a market in the sense of you either make money or you don't make money. In DC, it's nothing but lying.
House of Cards.
And by the way, that is 100% how it operates. It's blackmail, it's backroom deals, and here he is like, what the hell is this? Like, let's just build the wall. And then people are leaking on him, right? People are talking negatively about him. And not to mention, again, some people don't like it when they say, oh, Trump is always the victim and all this. Stop it. You had within a week, the FBI with Peter Strzok in the White House illegally entrapping the National Security Advisor. That is, in clearest terms, the administrative state that was going after the will of the sovereign people. What played out in the first Trump term from the first impeachment which was an illegally listened to phone call. We forget. It was Eric Schmidt-Shimarella who leaked a national security phone call. Who did Donald Trump have that call with? Zelensky. Yep. People forget. That was Donald Trump's call with Zelensky that Eric Shimarella was illegally leaked. How about the second impeachment was January 6th, separate issue. But COVID, lockdowns, Fauci's lies, Birx's lies, fear-mongering, death tolls on TV, CNN, everyone is going to die. Lancet study, it's going to wipe out 30% of the population. Hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, vitamin D levels, IV, can't talk about any of that stuff. Social media censorship. Donald Trump owns shares in ivermectin. It's a horse drug. Go after Joe Rogan. I mean, has anyone ever had that kind of multi-institutional attack at him? And he's still only, I use the word loss very carefully, he was not president by 8,000 votes in Arizona, like 10,000 votes in Arizona, 12,000 in Georgia, and 20,000 in Wisconsin. That's remarkable. They're afraid they can't do 2020 again. And that in 2024, absent indictments or other interference, this guy actually might be president again. Because they're right, he might.
That's a scary thought for them if that happens.
No, that's terrifying. This is why Jack Smith is acting like he's a Nazi war criminal.
Right. You remember when the day when Trump won and beat Hillary and everybody's the video, the one main video, everybody crying, the girls crying.
I'm sorry, I found joy in that video.
I'm sure you do.
To go to sleep.
But I have a feeling it's going to be that times 10 if it happens in 24. But Rob, can you pull up the story on California? Vinny, you were talking about the story. You know which one I'm talking about? California Assembly Committee blocks bill that could have sent human traffickers to kids to prison for life. And if you go a little lower, California got the Golden State Lower House Committee, Senate Bill 14, which would make human trafficking for children a serious felony. The serious felony charges under California law currently include murder, rape, and any other crime which may incur in the death penalty or life sentence in the state prison. However, instead of upping the ante on child traffickers, the California Assembly Public Safety Committee nuked the measure on Tuesday. How wild is that? And they don't just nuke it on any week. They nuke it on the week of the movie Sound of Freedom coming out that beats Harrison Ford's movie, Indiana Jones. And it was it's just it's not a real story. It's just a bunch of different things, inaccurate facts. What is a Newsom thinking when stuff like this is passing in his state? How do you sell this? How do you sell this to parents?
I don't think he cares because California is so ridiculously Democrat that he's never going to be held accountable. But, I mean, Patrick, you have really broad-based appeal. I encourage the next Democrat you have on the show, just ask them a very simple question, which is I know you hate Trump. I know you have to reflexively oppose everything the American right focuses on, right? Like everything. But do you really have to do that when it comes to child sex trafficking? Can you check your pathological type opposition to all things right wing and just maybe just lay down your arms for, I don't know, one issue, just one issue? Can you just take it easy? I mean, Rolling Stone, Guardian, QAnon adjacent film seducing America. That was the Rolling Stone headline. Or that might have been the Guardian, or the Rolling Stone and Guardian had two.
Yeah, but that was the title.
You are correct. Miles Klee for Rolling Stone.
Yeah, and so maybe you could just take an afternoon off. I mean, you guys love doing weed a lot. Why don't you just smoke weed and take this is not a necessary article for you to publish, right? Sound of Freedom is a superhero movie for dads with brain worms. Okay, that's rollingstone.com. First of all, it's a true story. It's a heroic story. It's a beautiful film. It's really successful. Maybe we could all agree that, okay, we have different politics, but I don't know, moving children across state lines and prostituting them for rape and for money is probably evil. No, you're QAnon. Well, hold on. Do you understand what you're doing? Yeah. I mean, can you break out of your muscle memory automatic opposition that if someone on the right says something, I must oppose it? I try my best to do this, right? To not do this, right? If I see something on the left, if Bobby Kennedy says something I like, I'm going to speak out. I encourage everyone in the audience, regardless of your politics, this right here is the most destructive operating behavior in the entire country. And when people on the right do it, it's bad. People on the left. People on the right don't do it as much. They just don't, because I think they tend to be more intellectually honest because they have to constantly prove their stances and beliefs. But this right here, what does this accomplish? Where you're bashing a movie that 8 years ago, Patrick, 10 years ago, the country that we used to have 10 years ago, people be like, oh, cool film. Let's go bring our families. But now it instantly has to politicize things. And people say, oh, Charlie, why are we so divided? Because Rolling Stone politicizes things that should have widespread agreement unless you're a pedophile. Unless you are a pedophile. and I'm not suggesting this author is, but unless you are a pedophile, you should probably support Sound of Freedom.
Charlie, you're 1,000,000% right in what you're saying. And I saw the movie last night. You saw it a week ago, less than a week ago. You recommended it. We talked about this the other day with Lauren Chen.
Yep.
And there's probably someone up on an upcoming podcast, possibly this weekend, that we can even bring this up to. But you're absolutely right. I'm in downtown Miami, not exactly far right wing, MAGA country. Not exactly far left either.
No,
Cuban community, Republican.
It's a great, beautiful
very
city.
Purple city here in Miami.
Great. Terrific place.
All sorts of shapes and colors are at the movie. Everyone jaws dropped, shocked, holy shit. So if I didn't know about the headlines ahead of time, now that I'm seeing these headlines as just a reasonable, moderate person, I'm like, what the fuck are they thinking? What is dads with brainworms? QAnon. It's a movie of vilified, disgusting, vile people
and
trafficking
which does
children.
Happen. Yes,
and selling them into sexual slavery. Period. Full stop. Yeah, this is not a political agenda.
Be political.
Nothing.
And so, but Rolling Stone is like attacking us as dads with brainworms. Look at the QAnon tinged thriller.
So, do you know who that Miles Clee is? He's a weirdo, by the way. They showed up photos of his profile. But you know what's crazy in this situation? The left doesn't care. Do you know who does care, Charlie? Criminals, like people that are in jail. Like Larry Nassar just got stabbed 6 times. Like the ex gymnastics guy. These people don't give a shit, but criminals who are in there for, beating people up or burglary, they find your ass and they hold you accountable.
And that goes to show exactly what Aristotle argued, which that there's a hierarchy to the good and there's a hierarchy to the bad, right? And even if someone's like in jail for embezzling money, or like they even know the most vile scum are the pedophiles and the traffickers. So you think about it, like you make a really interesting point. Prisoners, again, I'm not defending the stabbing of Larry Nassar.
Me neither.
Shouldn't happen, but he is the scum of the earth, and I believe he'll go into the fire of hell.